Hey guys, Tyler here, and thank you for checking out this video. And the first week of Season 3 of Mythic Plus is finally upon us, and that means the first week of Raid is as well. At least the first 8 bosses on Normal and Heroic. So today I have a video that we're going to be talking about the gear that you need to aim for to get the most out of your Marksman Hunter for both single target and for AOE. We'll talk about 2 different sections of this video. One talking about items that I deem as locks. It's going to be something like your tier set and some OP trinkets, as well as a really nice neck piece. And then also, we're going to be talking about the other items that are going to fill out your build to get the stats that you're looking for, and I'll give you options there. So, let's get started.
Mr. Eggplant presents.
And before we jump into the video, I just want to thank you guys for checking it out. I really appreciate it, and I will be streaming my Guild's Raid live on Tuesdays and Wednesdays on both Twitch and YouTube. It's going to be around 5:30 Central Time, so I would encourage you guys to check that out. And then also, if anything changes in this video, all that will be found in the description or the pinned comment down below. And then in the description, I do have a legendary video on all the legendaries you need to get for all situations for all covenants, and then also all of my 9.2 guides for all of the covenants. I went crazy this tier, and let's go ahead and dive into the video. And here's a great example of what a single target or an AOE lazy build would look like for your Marksman Hunter, regardless of Covenant here in 9.2. This is the exact build that I'm going to be shooting for, and as you can see, item level wise, I have 291 legendaries, and all of the other items are available from Heroic Raid, so if you're an AOTC Raider, you can grab all of these items, and then if you are timing plus 15s and nothing else, you can also get these items at 278 out of your Great Vault. Like I said, this build works for any covenant possible. It keeps your haste just high enough to where you don't have to really worry about haste issues. It has a decently high amount of mastery, and the only thing I would change is if you're a Kyrian Marksman Hunter, maybe don't run with 34% crit. I probably wouldn't go more than 30, but other than that, this is a perfect build that's super easy to obtain. The only things that you have to get is going to be those heroic tier pieces, and those will come in time. And then, of course, when looking at our gear, we're going to be thinking about this stat priority. So it's obviously going to be weapon DPS, then main stat, then crit strike, and then, like I said earlier, if you're a Kyrian Marksman Hunter, I wouldn't go more than 30. If you are any other Covenant, I would probably go like 30 to 35. Then mastery, then versatility, then haste from like 8 to 10, 8 to 12%, and then finally any crit above 35% is kind of wasted at that point. And then if you're doing PvP, make sure that versatility is your highest secondary stat and not crit. So this first part of the video is going to be the gear that are locks for you to do the most damage possible on your Marksman Hunter. And that's regardless of Covenant and also regardless of what you're doing, whether that be Mythic Plus or for raiding. And it's going to be your tier set, and then there's going to be your 2 legendaries. And they're going to go ahead and pop up on the screen there for you right now so you guys can check out their stats, because they're not actually in the game journal, it's just showing you the token that they make. So the 4 piece that you want for the set are going to be the shoulders, the chest piece, the gloves, and then finally the pants. So the shoulders are going to be the Godstalker's Pauldrons, and they provide haste over crit. Then we have down here the chest piece is going to be the Godstalker's Hallberg, and that gives you crit over versatility, which versatility is nice if you're doing those higher keys for sure, a little bit extra survivability. Then the gloves are going to be the Godstalker's Gauntlets, which are crit over haste. And then finally, there'll be the pants, which are the Godstalker's Tassets, and they give you mastery over crit. So the 2 legendary locks are going to be your belt and your wrist, since those 2 have the least amount of options for you on a Marksman Hunter. So the belt will be your Unity belt that you get with your Covenant ability. So regardless of what Covenant you are, that will give you that ability. And then the wrist piece will be the hand wraps of the Unblinking Vigil. And those, of course, work so well with your 4 set, and it'll be great for single target or for AoE. And for both of those, I would put both crit and mastery on. And the way Unblinking Vigil works is whenever you gain Trick Shot's effect, which you'll get from your 4 set quite often, you have a 50% chance to refund a charge of aim shot and cause your next aim shot to not consume any focus at all. So this next section of the video is going to be all the other items that you're going to be filling out the rest of your build with. So stats can kind of change, so that's why I'm going to give you several options, and most of these are actually going to come from Mythic Plus, since at a plus 15 vault item or a heroic raid piece, the highest you're going to be able to get is 278. And let's go ahead and start off with the helm. So the first helm that you're going to want to check out is going to be from Necrotic Wake, and it's the Rattling Deadeye Hood, and it's just a crit over mastery piece. The next option will actually be from Tazavesh, which is going to be the Dragonbane Diadem, and that is a crit over versatility. And you're going to see a lot of these items. I'll have like 1 or 2 items that'll be heavy haste. That'll be all the haste I need in my build, and then I can just go for heavy mastery, heavy crit pieces. And then the last option is going to be the Soulthorn Visage. And this is actually the one that I have in my BIS list, which is going to be Mastery over Haste. And like I said, this is one of those items that has haste on it. We don't really need a ton of it, but it gives you just enough haste to only need it on a couple of pieces, and then you can go buck wild with crit, mastery, or versatility on all of the others. And this next section is going to be about your neck piece, and this is going to be one of the few times we find something from Raid. So the Raid neck piece that you want to pick up is the World Killer Iris. It looks pretty much like the Heart of Azeroth, much like a lot of the items that the Jailer will drop. It is off the Jailer after all. It does give you 3 stats instead of just 2 secondary stats. It doesn't give you as much stat-wise, but it does give you a nice selection. The next option is going to be found over here in Mists of Tyrna Scythe, which is going to be the Trail Spinner Pennant. It's just a mastery over crit. It's heavy mastery, which is always a great thing. Then we're going to move over here to Halls of Atonement. Another option would be the Sin-Stained Pendant. This is another one of those items that is heavy haste, that if you had maybe the neck piece and maybe one other item, you don't need any more haste in your build, and I always like that option, and it's just a haste over mastery piece. And then we can come down here to the Spires of Ascension and pick out the Azure Venom Choker. And I did use this one quite often in 9.1 and 9.1.5. And now let's go ahead and take a look at all of our cloak options, and there are a few good ones. So the first one's going to be found in the other side, which is actually the one that I'm using currently, which is Dealer Zyx's Cape. It gives you % damage regardless of mastery or versatility. It does increase the range of your abilities just a little bit, and versatility makes it so you take less damage. Another option will be down here in the Sanguine Depths. I do use this one often as well. In fact, I think I have it in my bags. I do. Which is the Cloak of Enveloping Manifestation. And it's just a crit over mastery item. That's usually the stat priority that you want. Then we can go ahead and come down here and check out the last 2 items, which are both going to be found in Tazavesh. One being the Drape of Titanic Dreams, which is a mastery over haste item, and then also the Duplicating Drape, which is a crit over haste item. So like I alluded to with the neck pieces, you could come in here and pick out a haste back piece and the haste neck, and that's almost all the haste you need for your entire build, and then you can just go crit, mastery, versatility for the rest of it. Now this next section is going to be about your belt, and I know I said I'm using the Unity Legendary on my belt slot, but if you are somebody who wants to put it on another slot, go right ahead, and I'll give you your options for your belt instead. The one option you could go ahead and jump back in here to Tazavesh would be the Discount Mail Order Belt, which is a heavy mastery over crit belt. Always a great thing to have heavy mastery items in your build. And then another option is going to be over here in Spires of Ascension, which is the Dark Praetorian's Clasp. And unfortunately, there aren't a ton of options for belts. That's one of the main reasons I said to put Unity there, but those are a couple options if you want to put it on another slot. Now let's go ahead and take a look at boots, and this could be an option that you want to put your Unity Legendary on. You can certainly do that, and if you don't put it on your belt, boots are a great option, and here is a couple of options should you not decide to put Unity there. So first off is going to be the Shard Skin Sabatons, which is something that I use quite often. I actually got this like week 1 in this first season of Mythic Plus. I got these week 1 at the highest item level. So good. They're heavy mastery over crit. Then we can go ahead and come down here into Tazavesh once again, because Tazavesh has so many great items, which is going to be the Sabatons of Measured Time, and that gives you mastery over versatility. Versatility is usually our least wanted stat, but it does give you survivability, particularly if you're in PvP or you're pushing those high Mythic Plus, or you just need some more survivability in your build. And now we jump into rings, and this can really help you catch up to whatever secondary stat number you want to see, whether it be 30% crit, adding a little bit of haste in your build, or just getting a certain amount of versatility or mastery. So because of that, we have a lot of different options, and one of them actually does come out of Raid, which is going to be off of one of the last bosses, which is Rygalon, and it's his Heraldic Ring, and it's just a heavy mastery ring over crit. Then we'll go ahead and pop back over over here into our Mythic Plus dungeons, since these could be a max of 278. And we're going to jump back into our tried and true in the Halls of Atonement, which could be the Signet of the False Accuser, which is heavy mastery over haste. Once again, giving you just a little bit of haste in your build. And in fact, I am using this currently on my character now. It's definitely giving me just enough haste to really make it worthwhile. Then we can jump in here to Tazavesh, and you can pick up the Seal of the Panoply, which is mastery over versatility. So if you want to have a little bit of versatility in your build, that could be the way to go. And then obviously you could go to the Theater of Pain, which has all the rings you'd ever want. Any of these would work. I always choose the Flesh Fused Circle. In fact, I am using that on my character right now. It's a mastery over crit build, but if you need a ring and you need one fast, go make a group in Theater of Pain. There's so many options there. Like here, haste over crit strike, then crit over mastery, another great option. And if you want to have a little bit more versatility in your build, or you're trying to do some PvP, the Ritual Bone Band will work quite nicely as well. Now the name of the game is going to be Trinkets, and there are, of course, some great trinkets here in the Shadowlands. So obviously, number one is going to be your Quantum device. It is still so strong. It is in my BIS list. I will be trying to get one. Finally got a 252 in 9.1.5, literally the last week possible. So I guess, yay me. But the Quantum device will most likely be your go-to. This is one that I want to pick up, which is going to be the Solia's Secret Technique. It's just a agility trinket, and then it's an on use, but only every 30 minutes, and you put a buff on another player in your party, giving them an amount of your secondary stat, and then giving you the same stat significantly more, 5 times to be more exact. It's basically like a Titanic ocular gland, as you can see here on my character, and there's no drawback, so you don't lose that amount of secondary stat. So if you need a little bit more secondary stat in your build, the Solia's Secret Technique is pretty passive for the most part, apart from putting the buff every 30 minutes. That's going to be, in my opinion, a part of the BIS list. There are a couple options here as well, and most of these others, outside of the overcharged Anima battery, which is great for giving you a little bit more haste as well in your build for Spires of Ascension. But one that's going to be overlooked by a lot of people, it's found on your mission table, is going to be this one here. I know it's Wakener's Frond. It's only 213 on my right now. That was the max you could get here in 9.1.5, or at least when I was running with it in 9.1.5. This item level will go up. I'm going to guess it'll be around 230 or so. The reason it's so good is particularly for Night Fae Marksman Hunters. It's a 2-minute cooldown, which gives you haste while you have True Shot up and while you're using your Wild Spirits. It can be huge, and if you have somebody that's going to be giving you PI as well, this can be like low-key very strong. It just has a little bit lower of an item level. But the other couple of trinkets are actually going to be from Raid itself. So we're going to jump in here. The first one being the First Sigil itself, which is a 265 item. It does have a 5-minute cooldown, but it gives you your secondary ability from your Covenant. For me here as a Kyrian, it is another File of Serenity, but it gives you an obscene amount of versatility for 20 seconds. That could be something that you wanted to try out on your character. And then the other one would be the Elegy of the Eternals. And whenever you equip it, it's an agility trinket, of course, and when you equip it, you weep before the Eternals, dedicating yourself to their service, and you gain 1/15 of your highest secondary stat and grant 10% of this bonus to any party members who also serve your Covenant. So this is an inferior version of the trinket from, if we could pop back here, the trinket from Tazavesh, since this one does actually give you a little bit more for the item level, but the other one will give it to more people potentially, so it could be more of a group-wide trinket, where this one is more for you and a friend. And then finally, let's go ahead and talk about our main damage dealing item, which is going to be our weapon. So the highest item level you can get out of the Great Vault is going to be 278. So the Xi Cartel crossbow is always amazing. I hope to get a weapon ASAP, and it's correctly statted at mastery over crit. Crit over mastery, mastery over crit are usually interchangeable. Then another option, which honestly might be the best option possible, is going to be the Rift Breaker from Tazavesh, which I've never actually done, but this thing is super strong because it has an on-hit effect as well, and that has to do with damaging with crit strikes. We crit all the time, particularly if you're a Curian Marksman Hunter. You're going to crit more than the average Marksman Hunter, and this will just do a little bit extra damage every 5 times that you crit, and it doesn't seem to have a cooldown at all. So you could be really pumping out damage with this guy here. Another option, of course, would be the Blight Belcher, which is actually the best weapon in a AOE situation just because of the versatility and mastery that it provides. Another option, of course, is going to be over here in the Spires of Ascension, which is what I'm using, which is the Philosopher. And then finally, if you ever find yourself in raid, you can go ahead and come down here, and is of course going to be the Astral Verdict. And this one is strong. It's close to the plus 15 item level. That one was 278. This one's 272. This one you might have a better time getting if you are clearing AOTC pretty quickly. So thank you guys for checking out the video. Consider subscribing if you haven't already, and be sure and follow me over at Twitch at twitch.tv/MrEggplant. Hope to see you guys in one of my live raids very soon. I'm so excited to finally get back to doing that each and every week. And then also, if this video helped, please share it with others and leave me a comment down below. I love to hear feedback. If there's some items that you think that need to be on this list, leave it in a comment down below and we can probably get it added. And this is going to be a fun tier. I'm really looking forward to how tier sets are going to change the way Marksman Hunter plays, both in AoE and for single target. I love lazy builds, and lazy builds are going to be finally in again. It's going to be easy to do. So I will be playing all 4 Covenants for all situations, so you'll see various stuff each and every week. So I encourage you to check that out. So thank you guys for watching. Best of luck in Mythic Plus if that's what you do. Best of luck in Raid if that's what you do. And I'll see you in my next video.